With the UK general election fast approaching on the 4th of July 2024, what are each party's plans for crypto if they were to get into power? Because everything has been put on hold currently, including stablecoin legislation that was due to come into force this summer. And Labour is favourite at the moment, according to most polls, for the general election. But what would that potentially mean for crypto investors? And has any political party given an indication into its plans, either in its manifesto or through statements that it's put out? And I will include links in the description to this video, the manifestos of most political parties and any reports that I mention. So please do like this video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to offer more content for you in future. Just a reminder that nothing contained here is financial advice or has any sort of political leaning. And let's jump straight in and take a look at the potential impact on the outcome of the general election for cryptocurrency holders in the UK. Firstly, let's start off by looking at the Conservative Party and its leader, Rishi Sunak, because when we look at capital gains tax that most people have to pay on their crypto gains, we've seen the AEA, or annual exempt amount, having already been reduced from £12,300 all the way down to £3,000 in the past 3 financial years by the Conservatives. So it's quite unlikely that they, or any party really, will reduce this much further because it's already low, and you now need to pay capital gains tax on £9,300 more than you did previously, just because of this reduction in the exemption amount. So it is easier to predict what the Conservatives' plans will be for crypto rather than the other parties, based on what they've already put into place while they've been in power, because the Conservative government has introduced cryptocurrency legislation and regulation in the UK through the FCA. It has kept the top rate of capital gains tax at 20%, meaning you'll pay 20% capital gains tax on your crypto profit if that was £100,000 or even £1 million. The Tories are also quite engaged in the Web3 and crypto spaces. For example, they hosted members of fintech, Web3 and crypto companies at Downing Street in March 2024 to discuss the future of these industries. And we'll see another example when we take a look at the Labour Party soon in this video. And I would expect this all to broadly stay the same if the Conservatives came into power, with a first step probably having stablecoin legislation passed that was due to take place but was put on hold due to the general election that I did mention at the beginning of this video. If we take a look at the Labour Party now, with its leader Keir Starmer, it must be noted that it hasn't put out any statements about its plans for crypto specifically ever, and hasn't been engaged with crypto groups in the UK either, such as Crypto UK, for example. But even though Labour hasn't been involved with or engaged the crypto or Web3 community, unlike the Conservatives, this doesn't mean they don't have any plans for it. We just don't know what they are. But given this as a starting point, what has Labour actually said, or what can we infer as to what might impact crypto investors in the UK should they come into power, which does seem quite likely? Because a large clue comes from January the 31st, 2024, when Labour released its plans for growing financial services in the UK, which I'll include a link to in the description to this video, by saying that it wants the country to embrace tokenization, which obviously involves distributed ledger and blockchain technology seen in crypto, with Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor, specifically mentioning this. And these plans were actually welcomed by the UK crypto lobbying group, Crypto UK, who I mentioned earlier. But as well as supporting tokenization, Labour says it will also support fintechs, innovation, the financial services industry, and will also continue to promote the Bank of England's CBDC, or digital pound. Rachel Reeves then stated in May 2024 that Labour has no plans to increase capital gains tax when she spoke in a press conference, which is obviously the main tax that's paid on crypto gains. But importantly, this isn't in Labour's manifesto, and Keir Starmer has said that he wouldn't raise capital gains tax on primary residences only. And given there is no mention of capital gains tax in the Labour manifesto, there has been a lot of speculation recently about a possible wealth tax that will be implemented by Labour to fund its priorities, which could affect a lot of people in the crypto space if you make large gains. For example, Professor Patrick Diamond, who previously advised Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, has recently stated that Labour should and must do this, so to increase capital gains tax as well as inheritance tax, in order to raise an additional £10 billion per year in tax. So just to be clear what that could mean for crypto holders, the current top band of capital gains tax is currently 20%. So you'd pay 20% on your crypto gains if you made £60,000, let's say, but also 20% if you made £100,000 or even £1 million. But if the government decided to put capital gains tax in line with income tax, for example, your 100,000 gain would now mean a 40% tax based on the higher rate, not 20%. And anything over about £125,000 currently would see you paying 45% of your gains in capital gains tax, not 20% as it is now. So this would be a big difference if we looked at it from a crypto investment point of view. And this was mentioned again in a few articles on the 21st of June 2024, with unnamed sources confirming that Labour is considering whether to increase capital gains tax and possibly inheritance tax. And with an alleged Labour memo mentioning changes to capital gains tax, generating an extra £8 billion for the Treasury, apparently. So certainly some mixed messages here, a lack of clarity, and something to keep an eye out for. And if this were to play out, it might mean it would be worth doing some tax planning, such as taking profits or crystallizing losses earlier to try to avoid paying higher taxes. But obviously you'd need to contact a crypto tax specialist, such as Myna, who I did 3 crypto tax Q&A videos with recently. And I have put a link in the description to this video where you can contact them directly if you're looking for help with your crypto taxes. You just need to add my name or YouTube channel as a referrer, just so they basically know where you've come from. But what are the other political parties with respect to capital gains tax or crypto doing? Because linked with this idea of a wealth tax is the Green Party, led jointly by Carla Denyer and Adrian Ramsey, as they've been quite open and confirmed in their manifesto that they would change capital gains tax and introduce a wealth tax. They cite the growing number of billionaires in the UK as to why. And they plan a yearly wealth tax of 1% on assets above £10 million, which will be 2% on assets above £1 billion, with the large change probably affecting more crypto investors being the reform of capital gains tax, because the Green Party states that it would align income tax with capital gains tax, as I mentioned a bit earlier, which would result in much more capital gains tax due if you made larger gains on your crypto investments. Remember, income tax is currently 40% at just over £50,000 and 45% at just above £125,000, compared with the current maximum capital gains tax rate of 20%. And the AEA is only £3,000 currently, so you could only take that off before tax would be due. And the Green Party states that these changes could raise additional revenue of between 50 and 70 billion pounds in total. When looking at the Lib Dems, who are led by Ed Davey, they do mention in their manifesto the digital sector as an area they would look to grow, but it is all quite general in the manifesto. They do mention capital gains tax by saying that they will fairly reform it to close loopholes exploited by the super wealthy. But the Lib Dems did provide more detail on the 10th of June 2024 about their reforms to capital gains tax, which would affect crypto holders in the UK. And they confirmed that they would move capital gains tax rates to be in line with income tax, so 40% and 45% above certain amounts, as we've looked at before. But they would remove income tax as being part of this calculation, because currently you add your income to your capital gains to work out your capital gains taxable amount. And the Lib Dems would increase the AEA from £3,000 up to £5,000. They state that these changes in total would raise an additional £5.2 billion per year. And finally, if we look at the Reform Party, who are led by Nigel Farage, who only took over the leadership of the party very recently, despite mentioning tax 58 times in their 28-page manifesto, Reform don't mention anything to do with capital gains tax or anything that really affects crypto investors directly. They do state that they would incentivize innovation to speed up building digital technology, which is quite general, and they do oppose the creation of a central bank digital currency, or CBDC, in the UK. But that ends this video looking at what we know so far about what the political parties in the UK are planning that would affect crypto investors. And as always, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below about it. For example, if they do get into power, which seems quite likely, do you see a Labour government increasing capital gains tax rates, which would mean larger tax bills for crypto investors when they took profits? And if you are interested in more of a tailored approach to your crypto education, and you think you'd benefit from having someone look over your shoulder and guide you on your journey, I do offer one-to-one coaching to those who have the desire and the means to educate themselves further. And there are links in the description where you can message me and book in a free video call to see if we'd be a good fit. And if you found this content interesting, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help. And have a great day.